Hello everyone, and hopefully there's some Happy New Year's going on out there. I know there's a lot of stuff out there that's not going very well in terms of all the stuff going on in Los Angeles with the fires, and there's some things I want to talk about with that in a very short period of time here, but some things that preface things here on the channel in terms of the videos and so on and so forth. Some minor things. One, Steve and I did record our brand new commentaries for January. We did Beverly Hills Cop XOF and John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China. Beverly Hills Cop XOF is out now, and I had to do a lot of work on this thing on the technical back end of it, because unbeknownst to us when we were recording, is the fact that about 40 minutes into the Beverly Hills Cop one, my microphone started getting static in it, just in the right channel. And so I had to go in and do extensive filtering, a lot of stuff very surgically, going in there, limiting different pieces of like garbled static. There was not, well, Steve's actually talking, so there's a few little artifacts in terms of the audio in that regard, but I cleaned it up as best I possibly could, and it's a very, very good commentary. I had a lot of fun with this type of thing. It's very chatty, it's very engaging. Just very much go check it out, guys. I definitely implore you to do that. Just I had to do a lot of work on the back end, especially with Big Trouble in Little China, is through the entire commentary. So I have to go through very particular on that one and take some time, about a week or so, to kind of work through that one to get it up to snuff. But as I went through this one, I took a whole night kind of going through it. After a little while, it kind of subsided. I didn't have a lot of stuff, kind of like it just really getting obtrusive in that regard. So the filtering I did most of the work on that regard. I did a lot of stuff in the first like 20 to 30 minutes after the static was getting introduced, that I had to really go in and remove a lot of different things manually in that regard. So little things in that regard. I'm using the same microphone now. I've been testing it the last couple days after I took the thing apart. Now, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just took it apart to see if there was something I could do. And so I took it apart, I kind of pulled on the wires and the assembly and stuff like that, fiddled around with it. It didn't do anything. But after I put it all back together, it's been fine since then. There's been no static in the entire thing. So it's not the cable, it's something inside the assembly that kind of did whatever it was doing. And so ever since, like I said, been testing it every single day, checking it and checking it. I checked it over and over again before I started recording here. So hopefully it's fine on this entire thing. So if there is any kind of thing I had to do after the fact, put a little lower third down here, because at least if I'm in front of the microphone here, it's a stereo microphone, at least I can double up the other channel to kind of compensate for the entire thing, even though it doesn't quite have the same audio quality in that regard, in terms of like a stereo wide spatial type of thing. I can at least double it up and make it sound just fine. But anything like that, so wonky things. Thankfully, this was after I shot the new retro video series episode on Terminator 2. I've not edited it yet, but I already shot everything. So that was very good. I double checked in the last couple pieces of video on the entire thing, and it all came out just fine. So this was some abnormality that happened. Things seems to be working fine now, but I did order a replacement on eBay. And I did grab the protection plan for it. It's like a 1 year Allstate $5.99 protection plan. I felt like, yeah, it's worthwhile. It's worth a peace of mind, because the thing will arrive tomorrow. As I'm recording this is late Friday night, so it'll arrive Saturday. Hopefully the tracking keeps on, because it's at the local distribution center right now or whatnot. So anything like that. So it will be coming here, so we at least have a backup. At least have something to compensate, because I don't want to go to the next commentary session and be like kind of twitchy on the entire thing if it's going to keep up and stuff like that. So I'll have another one. I'll have this one here too that still seems like it kind of works, but I kind of threw that thing as a monkey in the wrench. So all that type of stuff. So pivoting over, because oddly enough, if you listen to the XOF commentary, I still have my Laserdisc of Backdraft sitting here. That's very disconcerting in terms of, well, the entire thing going on in Los Angeles right now. And I have a lot of friends who live out that way. Maybe not exactly in Los Angeles, but in the surrounding areas, stuff like that. And one I was kind of waiting to hear from was my friend Ames, because I just chatted with her, and she had some things happen over the Christmas break or whatnot where she wasn't feeling so well, and it seemed like she was a little bit on the uptick, and then this thing happens, and then they have to evacuate and everything like that. So she's fine. Took everyone, her pets and her partner and everything like that, and they went way far away from the city. And so I was waiting for her to kind of share some things in terms of like relief efforts. People can donate things to different organizations. They're helping with other victims, some wildlife, some stray pets that got burned and injured, the entire thing, smoke inhalation, dehydration, some fire department type of stuff. So various type of things to help in those relief efforts. So she did share some things, and plus some other ones I saw from reputable people like Kate Mulgrew of all people, who I think had a family member that was very much victimized by this entire natural disaster. So the ones that Amy shared were from Pasadena Humane, dealing with a lot of the wildlife and stuff like that, like I said, California Fire Foundation, which I did donate a little bit of money to, and Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation. So she shared those, but she also employed everyone to go out and look for other things, look for other organizations, anything you feel suits your interests and your sort of way you want to help in that regard. And the other ones I found, some of them were also overlap with Mulgrew's type of thing, but also she shared Community Foundation's Wildlife Recovery Fund, Habitat Humanity of Greater Los Angeles, and World Central Kitchen. So a lot of those different things can give a lot of relief to different people in different situations, and also again to the wildlife and the various other things. So if you're very much interested in helping out any of that stuff, because there's people who have lost homes, they've lost everything they have and stuff like that. So I've seen a lot of people, I've seen so much, just like the outpouring of support and stuff like that across the board has been very, very positive. But if I felt like I really wanted to kind of push that forward. So if you're not going to donate something, at least if you want to share some of the stuff around and have other people get the word out and stuff like that, and so on and so forth, all the links will be in the description below to all these different things, and you can throw it around at your leisure. So anything like that. So very much glad that everyone I know out there seems to be okay and not suffering any hurt or any kind of major losses or anything like that, but there's a lot of people who are. So definitely keep that in mind, guys. But we'll move forward a little bit towards some other more positive, kind of engaging type of things here on the channel here. As I said, we record those commentaries perfectly fine. I got the retro video series thing shot. I got most of the B-roll shot for the entire thing to show off the laserdiscs, the DVDs, the Blu-rays. Gotta get some other thing. Got get a few other things. I didn't get the DVDs recorded because I had to dig out the little middle slip covers for the Terminator 2 DVDs out of my closet, so I didn't do those quite yet. And so a lot of stuff's going along. I felt like I was having one of those weeks at work and stuff like that. I felt like I was dealing with some other things when I came home every night and kind of wasting away the night and doing other things. I felt like I was just going to push the editing towards the weekend where I can just relax, take the whole day and try to work on it in that regard and get a fresh sensibility about everything, because I shot everything between Saturday night and Sunday afternoon, and then the next day we're recording the commentaries. So I just needed some decompression time and not have to worry about too many things at one point in time, especially with the entire thing with the microphone and having to work a couple nights to kind of work through that entire situation there. So all that type of stuff. So that's that for the right now. So I got that. There's a lot of things to talk about in terms of media pickups, stuff I watched over my Christmas break. Well, not really a break or whatnot, but over Christmas and the holidays and whatnot, stuff like that. So I think I'll do that stuff afterwards, because it's kind of long and involved type of stuff. I think the media pickups are a little bit more succinct in that regard, and so we'll swing around to different things as we go along. But I think the entire thing with the media pickups is really nice, because I didn't get too much for Christmas. It was kind of a light affair for the occasion and whatnot, but I did get something very, very nice. I was kind of excited to get. I heard about this getting released many months ago, and it's nice that Warner Rhino Records is actually taking, because if you're up on Apple Music or whatnot, you know there's a lot of stuff that's been released in Dolby Atmos with those tracks and different tracks remixed for Dolby Atmos. Well, now Warner's through Rhino are now releasing that on actual Blu-ray audio disc, and I got Fleetwood Mac's Rumors in Dolby Atmos on Blu-ray audio. Now this does have a DTS HD Master Audio 2.0, 5.1, and the Dolby Atmos mixes. That's all that's on the disc, just the album itself. Nice that they include the bonus track of Silver Springs. Love that song from Stevie. And so they include that on the entire thing, because I just don't think it would have been, I would have been a little irked if they did include that, because it was a B-side. And Stevie was a little upset that they didn't make the actual album cut, but it now has become just a staple of Fleetwood Mac and just one of her best tracks altogether, and it was really good. I really enjoyed listening to it. It was really good. Even though I don't have the full Atmos setup, I just have a 5-speaker setup, but I like the sound of the Atmos better than the 5.1 mix. The 5.1 mix just found it sound like it was just mixed a lot louder. I think everyone's just gushing over the Atmos mix on the entire thing. And get some pictures here of everything in that regard, from front to back, inside and out. And they do have an insert with just the lyrics and some photos in that regard. Nothing too involved, but I already had the 35th anniversary Digipack release and stuff like that, and just like it just, I mean, the thing sold over, I think it's blown well past 10 million. This is one of the best-selling albums of all time, and that's for absolute good reason, because it's one of the best ever made. And just like, it's gorgeous, it's fantastic. I actually took some of the my MP4 rips out of my playlist because I kind of want to preserve a little bit more of this, to go back and just sit here and listen to it on my speaker setup, because it's just fabulous type of stuff. Only other thing I've ever gotten in that type of format, because we had the DVD audio format way back when. The only thing I got on that format was Metallica's Black Album, and that 5.1 makes it sounds like a completely different album. It just sounded all over different. I still have it, because it would get me a lot of money if I ever want to get rid of it, but I don't want to. It's really, really good, really special, all that type of stuff. So definitely check that type of stuff out. Go up on Rhino Records website and see what other Blu-ray audio things they put out. I think they might put some stuff out from the Doors or something else like that. There's a lot of stuff they put out. A lot of stuff they put out in the last year that's fairly interesting in that regard. And so I like the fact that they're taking that stuff they mixed for the Dolby Atmos for the Apple Music thing, and now putting it out for the enthusiasts to have and own in that regard, because the Apple Music stuff is just for the streaming subscription. You can't download and purchase the Dolby Atmos tracks. So this is very particular. This is definitely a thing to really kind of grab onto if you're that enthusiastic about those things. Because if you don't have the particular Atmos setup, even if it down mixes, it's still a major quality in that regard. So, and I got a number of 4Ks that are just really special. I got this one because I got a $15 Amazon gift card at work from someone, and I had to get this. I knew I wanted this, and I got the Stir of Echoes 4K, that lenticular cover. There it goes. It's a steelbook with a slipcover that's lenticular. I mean, that's going all out, isn't it? And the thing is, I haven't liked the steelbooks where it has kind of like the clear slip over it. This is much more of a proper slipcover in that regard. So you get the entire thing. It's not this kind of plastic sleeve or whatnot. It's the full thing. So I haven't watched it completely, but I did throw it in before I started recording, and it looked pretty damn good. The colors are really rich. Like, there's like deep color in the entire thing that looks really good. Some things in terms of like the grain feels a little here and there. I think a lot of the effect shots in some places take on a little bit more grain to a certain degree. I don't know what the case is on that regard. It just feels not like the same thing obtrusive. I was kind of noticing between certain sequences, they're much more like dialogue sequences with certain lighting, look really nice. Some other things look a little bit more heavy on the grain to a certain degree, but it's not a bad type of thing. I thought it looked really, really good. I've been waiting for this forever and ever. I love this movie. Love it so much. I saw it in the theater in '99, and in particular, the entire sequence, the kind of dream sequence, when Kevin Bacon's character Tom goes into the trance and he's inside that big theater, that's the Rialto Theater in Joliet, Illinois, where my graduation ceremony was held for high school. Pretty much like a couple of months before they actually shot this, because it was released in '99, like September of '99, and I graduated in June of '98. And so that within like a couple of months or so after I graduated, they were shooting that sequence in the place where I walked up on stage and got my diploma and everything like that. So I've always marked that since I knew the fact, from the moment I knew that that was the Rialto in Joliet, I've never stopped parroting that little piece of trivia for myself. So when you're watching the film and you see that entire screen and stage and whatnot, I actually walked up on that stage prior to this film actually being filmed. So really nice thing, but it's got Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. I thought it looked really good in large part. Not the most stunning thing I have on this thing, but if all you had was the old Blu-ray, which they did not remaster on this thing. It's a Blu-ray and 4K combo pack, but it's still the old Blu-ray on this entire set. So interesting thing in that regard. So Lionsgate didn't do that, but the fact of the matter is I never upgraded from DVD because I had a special edition DVD set and they didn't put all the bonus features on the original Blu-ray, but they have done that now with the 4K, so you have absolutely everything with a great looking set. I think it's, right now it's an Amazon exclusive steelbook, but this thing looks, I mean, just, this is a great, I was a little twitchy a little uncertain about the cover art, but you just look at it. It's a really well done piece of work on the lenticular end. The steelbook is nice and hefty. It's a really nice gloss finish, but it's not putting off any kind of fingerprints in the whole thing terribly much. So I love this movie. I think it's really fantastic. It never gets the recognition as much as I think it deserves. It's really damn good. Kevin Bacon, exceptional in this entire film. One of his best performances that I've ever seen. Great type of stuff. Highly endorsed the entire film. But the other two 4Ks I've delved into the Arrow deep into the pool. Now, I didn't get any of the limited edition stuff because it's been out for about a year. I probably pulled the trigger on it because I had to get the Warriors. I had to get the Warriors on 4K. I just had to get this film on 4K. And so I was just thinking about it recently, and I was like, I need to have that. I've got to have that. After I was doing the Drive video, and I talked a little bit about The Driver, the Walter Hill film that preceded this, I gotta get the Warriors on 4K. I gotta get away from this DVD, man. I gotta get the 4K, and I watched the whole film, and it looks wonderful. It looks really damn good. I didn't go through any of the bonus features. I was a little disappointed that none of the scenes from the TV cut were included as deleted scenes. There's nothing on that from the TV version. I had it in my goddamn head that I could have sworn it was on the old Ultimate Director's Edition DVD. I almost swore to Christ they had those on there, but it was not. It's not listed on the bonus features. It is on the imprint Blu-ray set from Australia. They did include those as extra features. So probably just the fact I've probably seen them online, on YouTube somewhere. I've probably just seen them around and just kind of transplant them as probably being the old set, but they were not. But they did port over a lot of legacy bonus features from the DVD, plus new interviews and stuff like that. I know he lost at least one of the, and I can say which one because I don't want my memory to fail in that regard, but we did lose one of the actors from the actual the Gang of the Warriors in this last couple of months or so. So getting this is very, very special, and just awesome type of stuff. I had to grab it. I totally had to grab it, and I'm very happy that I did. As I also have the soundtrack. The CD soundtrack, I picked that thing up like 20 years ago at the mall somewhere in that regard. But what is best in life is what you have to ask yourself. What's best in life is having Conan the Barbarian on 4K because Amazon was mimicking the Barnes & Noble 50% off sale. So I grabbed this because I was like, I gotta have Conan on 4K because I always felt like the Blu-ray's not bad, but it just felt flat. It didn't have a lot of contrast, not a lot of pop to it. It's not like a richly colorful film, but I felt like as a film elements, it really could use a stronger quality to it. And so I went back and watched my friend Oliver's review of the entire thing. I forgot he even did a review of it from a year ago. And he did the entire limited edition set with Destroyer or anything like that. And it just yeah, I'm good on this. I want to grab this thing. Because I was for the fact that, Arrow did such a great job, the whole thing, just on getting as much bonus features as possible and having 3 cuts of the entire film restored in Dolby Vision and all that type of stuff. It's like, of course I want this thing. I want this thing. It's a really incredible film. I know I talked a couple of years ago about maybe doing a review on it. I kind of didn't get around to it because I felt like the bonus features on the old Blu-ray were just not sufficient for what I really felt I needed for research, and so I just kind of brushed it off. Not that I'm doing one now because this has a 4K disc and a Blu-ray special features disc, so I can't rip any of the direct stuff from the film for a review right now. Maybe in the future something else kicks off that I kind of get around to maybe doing that. But there's a lot of stuff. This is all the bonus features on the entire thing. It's a paragraph of text in a very small font. It's a lot of stuff to get through. But I just had to get Conan the Barbarian. It's goddamn, goddamn, absolutely. And I haven't popped it in, but I've seen enough reviews of it. I know it looks absolutely stunning, just richness and stuff like that. Maybe some things into like optical effects, a little chunky grain in some places, but I just felt like I really needed to jumpstart the kind of the Arrow videos sort of library to a certain degree. I don't know how much I've got on Arrow. I've got Donnie Darko. Probably dig it up on my entire app here in some place, or in some regard. But give me 2 seconds here. Studios, Arrow. I got 5 things. I got Conan, the Friday the 13th 4K, which I talked about a couple months ago. Donnie Darko, the standard Blu-ray. Hellraiser Steelbook from a couple years ago, and of course the Warriors Standard Edition. So none of the limited edition. Only thing I got is, well, the Friday the 13th one is called a limited edition in that regard, but there's nothing like, I don't think they put like a standard edition out. I think it's just the only version they have, anything like that. But anything in that regard, just like it's a decent enough starter pack in that regard. A little late getting into the game, because a lot of Arrows, like some of the real kind of coveted Arrow stuff, is still like UK and whatnot. I've been thinking a lot about like the Psycho set they put out, which is only out in the UK. You can import it, play region fee and stuff like that, but it's kind of weird that no one stateside has kind of picked up those rights for the rest of the Psycho films in 4K. In 4K, cause like Scream Factory's got Psycho 2, at least they did, whatnot. But I don't really think anyone's done a whole lot with the entire franchise in the US side of things. Because I've been thinking about on and off about actually watching all the Psycho films to see if there's something we can do with them on the channel. Maybe a future commentary series, something else like that. But things in that regard. Anywhere. But only thing I have that I grabbed up, I didn't grab the other thing I needed. But this is something I had off the last update, but I really didn't get around to doing what I wanted to do with it. Weird type of thing to say for media pickup. But I picked up, this is out of print DVD for a concert film. And I was like, I've been hauling for a long time in terms of like eBay stuff, because they always charge up the ass. And I found one that gave me at least enough of a discount to a certain degree. I was like, okay, I'll bite on this one. I got this concert film from Natalie Merchant she put out in 1999. I got the album, but I really wanted the DVD as well. Because I can't really seem to like find even like clips of it on YouTube. At least they're verifiable in a certain degree. But the interesting thing is, the packaging of this thing was like real flimsy. It's like real flimsy freaking digipack type of thing. And I was like, man, this thing's really, I'm not gonna be able to put this up anywhere that I feel comfortable having it around. So I scanned the cover art in, touched it up, redid some of the text, some of the logos and whatnot from my old DVD custom cover art days from like 20 years ago. So I still have all these vector graphics and stuff like that from that time and some templates. So I scanned it in, touched it up, cleaned it up, and just put it in a keep case. So it's a lot better than the other thing. It's way, way better. Because it was just like, this is not terribly sturdy to a certain degree. So I was surprised it lasted as long as it has in that regard. Good quarter century. Weird. Talking about 1999 as a quarter century ago, and blows my mind. Anything like that. So now it looks presentable. It looks very nice and presentable in a keep case. So good thing in that regard. And that's all I have for media picks at this point in time. But let me talk about all the stuff I did watching films over the holidays. Now, I did some interesting things for Christmas Eve. I didn't go the usual route. I decided, no, I don't want to do Die Hard this year. I do Die Hard everywhere. I want to do something different. So I decided to break out, not Blu-ray. I grabbed out the DVD I have of Lethal Weapon, which is the supposed director's cut. It's not actual director's cut. Donner did not approve this cut. This was just an extended version put together by the studio to slap director's cut on as a marketing gimmick. But I decided to sit down and watch the extended version of the entire film, and I do like this added scenes early in the film, but I do feel like it stretches out the first act too much. Anything like that. But I was nice the fact that this thing has a DTS track on it, so I clicked on the DTS track for the 5.1 on this whole thing, and that was pretty nice. That was pretty nice. Nice to watch Lethal Weapon again. And after I did Lethal Weapon, I watched The Nice Guys on Blu-ray. I didn't grab that one. I forgot about that one. But Forgot to grab that one. Apparently, Second Sight is going to be doing a 4K set of this limited edition, standard edition stuff. They just announced that. After Warner Bros. Is doing like a 4K manufacturer on demand version of it, Second Sight's doing a proper like limited edition thing, which will be much more coveted in that regard. I thought Nice Guys was an actual Christmas movie until I started watching. It's like, no, it's not. It's like the last scene of the film is Christmas. The rest of the film was not, but I felt like, okay, I'm watching Shane Black anyway. Who cares? He's Mr. Christmas anyway. So I decided to watch Lethal Weapon followed by The Nice Guys, and I had a fun time. I had not watched The Nice Guys since the theater. I saw it at the theater, I got the Blu-ray, and I hadn't watched it since 8 years. I hadn't watched this film, and it was still great. It's a great piece of work. It's so good. So goddamn good. I had a fun time watching it. Gotta watch it more. Definitely gotta watch it more. Just really fun time in that regard. But I almost forgot about the other film I was gonna watch. Because I had it on my mind for like weeks to watch this film. And I almost fucking forgot about it on Christmas Eve. And so I watched Doug Liman's Go on DVD. I don't have the Blu-ray. I know there's been a couple of times I've mentioned saying that it never got a Blu-ray release. Well, that's not entirely correct. It did get one from Sony back in like 2009, but it's been long out of print. And apparently it's from the exact same master as the DVD. So problem is I threw it on the DVD and it's like, this looks pretty drab. So I did some fiddling with the color and stuff like that on my set to kind of bring it out more. Make it look more nice. But God, I love this movie. Oh my God, this movie is as funny now as it was, again, 25 years ago. This movie's great. Oh, goddamn, I just laughed all over the place. The same places every single time. I adore this goddamn movie. It's so goddamn good. It's so funny. The cast of this thing is great. If you're not aware, Sarah Polley, Katie Holmes, Jay Moore, Scott Wolf, Timothy Oliphant, William Fichtner, Taye Diggs, Breckin Meyer. Just like, it's a great goddamn film. It's so good. I absolutely adore this film. It's just like, this movie is so good. It needs a 4K. Like Living Hell, especially looking at this old transfer. It needs a refresh like hell. Lyman's got to get up on these studios to do refreshes of his films. Like the Bourne Identity is like Notorious is a really bad 4K. Like it's literally taken from an old master. They didn't do a new scan of the negative or anything like that. They just took the old master that was laying around and just slapped it on a 4K disc. Not the way to go about it. It really wasn't. Just like there's a lot of stuff on Lyman's back catalog that deserves 4K stuff, and this is absolutely one of them. I just bowled over the entire film. I've just had the best time possible. I absolutely adore that film so much, and I don't know if anyone who's like young now could go back and watch that and get the film as much, because it's so much of that exact moment in time it was made, with the music, the stylings of the film, all the different things, a couple of references as well, but it was just the rave culture type of stuff and all the type of stuff. But it's so much fun. I love the Vegas sequence and the whole thing. It's just an absolute delight. Everything up, down, all around. It's so goddamn good. I love Oliphant in the film. It just shows so much that potential of talent the guy had from moment one all the way up through the Deadwood stuff, the Justified stuff, everything. The guy's an exceptional talent, and he's no different here. Just like, this movie's so goddamn good. Love it to pieces. I was so glad to actually sit down and rewatch it. So I think it'd been quite a few years. It's been quite a few years in that regard, and just makes me yearn for that 4K to eventually come out and someone do something about it. Because Sony got to get up on this thing. It's a great film. The fact that it was the 25th anniversary and they didn't do anything for it irks me a little bit. It didn't perform terribly well at the box office, but I think it does have a cult following. I really think it probably does. Really does. When I was sharing stuff on Blue Sky, a couple people were kind of liking what I was sharing in that regard on that. But what I did on Christmas Day was very much different. It wasn't Christmas stuff. It was James Bond. I was catching up on some stuff, rewatching some stuff, and catching up on some stuff. I decided to watch The World Is Not Enough, because it was the one I kind of mentioned a few times. I felt like it was not terribly good. I had a bit of a low opinion on the whole thing in a general sense. And sat down and watched it. It's a more involved story than Tomorrow Never Dies, but it's not as fun of a film for me. I feel like the plot gets a little convoluted to a certain degree, and it gets a little overworked to a certain degree. The Robert Carlyle, I think he's the guy playing Renard in the film, the kind of pseudo main villain. He's not really the main villain, but he seems like the main villain. That's when you have the screen presence for it. It doesn't really pull it off as like when you think of Bond villains, like there's a different image of your head of like a good dozen different ones are like way more definitive in that regard. It really didn't hit the mark. That had the kind of structure, the skeleton of an idea there, but it really didn't feel like it was kind of miscast in that regard. Not like he's a bad actor, but it just feels like he didn't really kind of capitalize on being that type of way. Maybe it's the direction from whoever the hell it was. Michael Apted, I think it was. I think he directed it. He's a damn good director too. But who knows? Might have been something in terms of the direction, some things with the producers, different way they want to go about it here and there and everywhere. There's a lot of things that get a little muddy in terms of Brosnan stuff, in terms of creative choices made in some places. But I would definitely watch The Tomorrow Never Dies more than that one. Definitely, because Michelle Yeoh adds a lot of value to her thing. Her and Brosnan are really good together. They have a lot of parody in terms of the action sequences in the entire film. And plus, the action sequences feel a little bit more inventive and more exciting in that film than I felt like they were in Tomorrow Never Dies. The World Is Never Not. God, I can't remember these names. I'm fucked. The World Is Not Enough just feels like they're trying to do more of a story. But it feels like because they're doing more story, it gets a little bogged down in the story and not quite as much kind of like ability to kind of free up the film in certain degrees. And Denise Richards, some people kind of I've seen some people try to defend her in some places. I just feel like she's miscast as this character. I feel like there's probably points of time in her career where she probably could play a character like that. I just feel like there was just not as much chemistry between her and Brosnan in that regard. I just feel like she didn't have the best performance overall. So some things were just a little underwhelming in some places here and there, but Brosnan's always good in the role. Excellent in he's always excellent at every iteration, even though sometimes the film around him doesn't quite support as much of a quality as what he's putting into the performance there. And I decided to go and rewatch Spectre again, because I've gone back and watched it a couple of times, like once or twice. And it's just like, it's half of a good movie. It's half of a good movie that I enjoy. Again, it's another thing with the villain. Christoph Waltz is a phenomenal actor. No knock on the guy. I just felt like I don't really like his Blofeld. I just don't like what he's doing with the character. It feels too light to me. It doesn't feel like there's menace. It doesn't feel like there's threat with him. He's just too aloof to a certain degree, and it kind of falls off in the second half of the film for me. Craig's great in the whole thing. I just feel like there's some elements that work very well. I love Dave Bautista as Hanks. He does a really good job just being that sort of presence in the entire film. But they're just like, I like the entire setup. I don't like the back half of the film where there's too much of an intermingling of the backstories and stuff like that between Bond and Blofeld and all that type of stuff. The back half of the film just doesn't completely do it for me. I love Ray Fiennes. I'll talk about him a little bit more here. But him as magnificent type of stuff. He's done phenomenal work in that role in the few films he got to flex himself in that role. Excellent actor. And stuff like that. So there's some things that kind of work in Spectre, some things that don't quite work terribly well for me. But after that, it was kind of the setup because, like, okay, I never saw No Time to Die. I didn't go see it in the theater because, again, I think it was at a time where, like, okay, the COVID stuff was a little bit more back up on a height, and I felt a little apprehensive of that entire thing, and so on and so forth. I sat down and watched it on Christmas Day. Now, I went into this thing already noting a good amount of spoilers in terms of the ending of the film, what happens to Bond at the end of the film, and some other elements that were in the film, but it's the execution, the journey towards those things that I needed to experience. And I very much did like the film. I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was really well done. I started crying at the end of that film. It got me. Craig did a phenomenal job. He really put his all into it, and they really did a lot of respect towards him to make sure that they sent it off his version of Bond in a very good way. I know there's a lot of people who have dissenting opinions about it. It seems to be kind of a divisive type of film in that regard. I very much enjoyed it. I had a fun time with the action entire thing, the quality of the characters. I know some people kind of had some things about the new Double O in the entire film. I had no problem with her. I kind of got an apprehensive thing about like, oh, some people are saying like, oh, she's very cold and she's kind of doesn't get a lot to do in the entire film, and she's kind of sour to her certain degree. I thought she was fine. I thought she was really good in the entire film. Like I said, Ralph Fiennes, excellent actor, did incredible work on the entire thing. So much so, I was just like, I thought it was a really solid film. I'm gonna sit on before I rush out and grab a 4K of it and whatnot. I'll grab it eventually, anything like that. But I feel like before I could ever get to around to doing a Casino Royale review at this point in time, I'd have to see the final installment before I go back and do the first installment to give a sort of overview sensibility about it. Don't know when I'm going to do it. I still have it on the books to eventually do it. Just want to kind of decompress from watching a whole day of Bond stuff and kind of get around to it when I feel a little more eager for it in that regard. But I thought No Time to Die was a good film. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of resonance. Rami Malek's villain character, well performed, a little bit underutilized, a little underwritten to a certain degree. Feels like there was a little bit more substance to get out of the entire thing, a little bit more depth out of it all, a little bit more kind of digging into what makes the guy who he is, what drives him and stuff like that. I feel like there's a little bit ground that wasn't quite as much covered, but I thought he did a very good performance overall. So that's very much the type of thing that can do a very good performance. Even if you're not given quite as much in these scenes and the pages, you really fill out as much as some people might feel. If you put in a very good performance, it can elevate things to be like very respectable, and I thought you did a really good job in that regard. So I'm running out of adjectives and stuff like that, but that's essentially what I ended my day on. So I was very positive on the entire film, and so good things in that regard for myself. Now, of course, you come up to New Year's Eve, there's one film I gotta watch. That's Strange Days. How about Ralph Fiennes? Broke out my Laserdisc again, because last year there was like, it was streaming up on like Cinemax, and if I had Prime at the time, and you could sign up for like a free trial, the whole thing, but wasn't streaming in the correct aspect ratio. It was opened up to a 1.85 to 1, which is a Series 35 2.35 to 1 film. So they had that, and I wasn't impressed by the HD quality of the entire thing. It was a little compressed, like a little more compressed than usual for streaming, but I did watch in that regard. But I went back to my Laserdisc. I was very much like, okay, if I can't find a really solid, like right now, I'd really like to get like a 35mm scan of a theatrical print or something else like that right now. A lot of stuff has been going around with that type of stuff. I do have a bit of something in the Terminator 2 video regarding a scan of that regard, but sat down and watched it. Absolutely loved it. Completely great film. Can't wait for that thing to actually get a proper 4K. Now it's owned and controlled by Lightstorm, which is James Cameron's company. So hopefully his ex-wife tells him, stick your AI up your fucking ass. I want a proper version of this thing. Put on 4K with all your fucking digital tweakery off of this entire thing. So hopefully Catherine Bigelow can get that moving forward in some place in that regard and get us a proper 4K edition of that film. Some way, somehow. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. And the other thing I watched on New Year's Eve, because I talked about this over a year ago, little Canadian independent film called Going In from Evan Reese, and I sat down and watched it. This is the second time I watched it, because I watched it a little bit after Christmas last year, the year before, and so I got the bug to kind of check it out again, and like, it's still got some parts I feel like some as it's a really ambitious, really kind of cool 80s throwback type of thing, but as independent films can go, there's just like your early features and whatnot, as I have my own feature. There's a lot of rough edges, some things that maybe not the best acting performance or something else like that. Certain rough edges in that regard. This one, like, there's still a few things like, this could be a little bit better. This could be directed a little bit differently in some places, but overall, I love the package of the entire thing. I love the ambition. I love the heart behind the entire thing. It's just like a great buddy action comedy type of thing. And I just like really appreciate what Evan did with the entire thing, as he's a writer and director and producer and co-star in the entire film. I really liked what he did, and I picked up, this was something he did about over a year ago when he was putting this thing out on VOD and stuff like that. It's up on Tubi and Plex in some places, but he did a podcast. It was called For Someone Else's Movie, where he talked about Roadhouse, the original. And I just put that on about a week or two ago, and I just like, man, this is really fun. I kind of want to watch Roadhouse again. Maybe do a video on Roadhouse. I was kind of thinking about us doing a commentary for Roadhouse maybe last year when the Prime Video version of it was coming out, the remake, but we didn't go off in that regard. But I might still kind of go off and do a video on Roadhouse at some point in time. I've got the Shout Studios version, not the Vinegar Syndrome version, but we'll see about that in due time. I put it on the list. It's on the list as a consideration. So there's that, and so I really do endorse you guys go check that, because I did buy the soundtrack, the Scores soundtrack album to Going In, because it's great. It's like total 80s, some flavorings of like Tangerine Dream in there, some stuff I didn't like. That is definitely inspiration from the Thief soundtrack. So much so, and there's some like Risky Business and stuff like that. There's a lot of like brand new fresh cues in the whole thing. I love listening to it. It's great type of stuff overall. And just like, I'm really hooked on the entire thing. I was sharing it, I was watching it up on Instagram stories, and the official account kind of, that's awesome. They gave me a little thing on Instagram stories, replies, whatnot, and I'm very much appreciative of that entire thing. So cool type of stuff. So I definitely, I would buy it. If they put it on, I know there's up on the Vinegar Syndrome store in Toronto, they do have VHS versions of it. But if they ever got like a Blu-ray release, I'd buy it. I definitely would buy it, because I definitely appreciate what Evan did with the film and the ambition behind it, and the passion for like 80s films overall. There's like Canon Ninja film stuff in the entire thing. There's like Tango and Cash stuff in it. There's all different types of things in the whole thing. There's a little Miami Vice in it. All these different things. Like, it's just a conglomeration of like so many things that you love about 80s films compacted in this one little love letter and everything. So definitely endorse you guys go check that thing out. And another thing I'd like to say in terms of like, I think about Roadhouse and 80s action movies and stuff like that, I've been wanting to do a video on the film's Shakedown with Peter Weller, Sam Elliott. I've got the Blu-ray. I've had it for a couple of years now, but problem is the film has no soundtrack release, and it makes it very difficult to do certain elements of the videos. Like when I do the opening plot summary, there'd be no music behind it, and just be my voice and nothing else, which is stuff I used to do many years ago, but I decided to improve the quality of the videos by incorporating the score into this plot summary, which seemed to improve the quality of how I was presenting things. And then when I talked about the soundtrack of the entire film, the score, what am I supposed to put over it? Nothing. There's nothing to put there. So, problem is, the thing only has stereo soundtrack. The audio track on the film is just stereo. So a lot of times, like, maybe you could, if you have a 5.1, you could maybe kind of go with the surround channels, kind of pull the music out, because usually like all the dialogue's in the center channel. If you don't have a lot of different sound effects going on, you can probably pull maybe 30 seconds to a minute of different things out of the surround channels, but just stereo track. So there's nothing to pull. So I really want to do this film. I really want to cover this film. I just haven't struggled because none of the music is available anywhere. You can't get anywhere. You can pull like the end credits song off the end of the film, which was never released anywhere. There's no commercial release of that song anywhere. It's only on the end credits of the film. It's a very tough film to cover in that regard. So if I want to do it the way I want to do it, I can't really do it that way. So I'm very much struggling. I keep wanting to go back around and do this film, because it's a really good action film that doesn't get quite as much attention, and really should, because there's a lot of good stuff in it, and just hard to cover it in the way I want to cover it. So just want to kind of mention that in regard. So there's a lot of things that have been like that I can't quite do, because like I want to do something like The Taking of Beverly Hills, but the Jan Hammer soundtrack was never released. None of the scores released anywhere. What am I supposed to do with that? I can't do it. Again, it's another stereo track. What am I supposed to do with that? I can't do anything. So it's just really tough type of thing to hit up some of these older films that don't have those elements available, like the Ridley Scott film, Someone to Watch Over Me. I've mentioned it before. There was some other video I did last year or whatnot. Something I did, I think it was Dead and Buried. I think, yeah, because I mentioned in the cinematographer shot that film as well. And I've wanted to cover a film like that, but again, stereo track, I think, and there's no soundtrack release. It might have a 5.1, I don't know. Maybe if it does have a 5.1. I don't know. Give me a second here. Stereo track. Again, another problem. Can't get the soundtrack. It's a Michael Kamen score too. I'd love to cover this film because it's a really gorgeous film. It's a really special film in certain degrees. Interesting in Ridley Scott's career. Great performances. Great cast. Hard to cover it the way I wanted to. And if I want to talk about Michael Kamen's score, I need to have the score. So it's really tough. It's really tough in some cases in that regard. But anything like that. It's a long enough video, so I'm going to kind of cap it off here. And I think that's plenty of stuff. So plenty of stuff for you guys to react to. Give me some comments about different things I talked about here in terms of the Bond movies I talked about or various other things. Let me know, guys. So last time I did go see Nosferatu, so I have to mention that. I do feel like I need to go see it a second time. So I didn't quite get as much of a absorption of what the film was really going for upon the first viewing. And so I don't really have a definitive thing to say, but I do feel like some great performances and everything. Skarsgård's great as Count Orlok, just like chilling, menacing type of stuff. The film looks fantastic. I thought the score was also fantastic. I pumped it up on YouTube Music afterwards and checked that out. Really moody type of stuff, really good stuff. A lot of good stuff in the entire thing. I just feel like I need a little bit more further assessment and kind of revisit it a little bit more to really kind of process it more. But one good thing is, like, I went to the theater to see this thing, and it's like there's a lot of trailers ahead of that film of films that look really interesting to me over the next 3 months. So we'll see where things go. This coming week, I am probably going to go see The Wolfman, the new Lee Wanell film that's coming out. So I took Thursday off to go see a advanced preview screening. I haven't bought a ticket yet, but I'll get there. I'll get there over the weekend and buy that ticket up. And I don't know if I'm going to do a video on it. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Depends on the time of day and what I can get done here and there and everywhere. But at least I'll post comments, post reactions to it online. So mainly where you can find me on social media right now. Give me a moment. I'm most active on Blue Sky right now. I've diminished my entire postings and stuff like that on Twitter. Mostly because most of it doesn't get any traction anymore. Just like it's turned into... It's a lot of people in my feed still doing stuff, but not a lot of interactions with stuff I post. So I felt like I just didn't want to... I just went over to Blue Sky almost like a whole hog now. I'm over there all the time. That's my primary place. I'm up on Instagram pretty regularly. You can hit us up on the Facebook pages for both RavensFilm and for Cinematic and get stuff there as well. So definitely, if you go in the link tree I have in the comments in the description below, you can check all that type of stuff out. So I was on Threads for a little while. I shut my Threads thing down because I just did not enjoy being there. I was getting no traction on anything I had there. I had people jumping into my freaking replies and just giving me a hard time about things like, fuck this, I don't need this shit. I deactivated the account. So I'm not over there anymore. Hell with it. I'm perfectly fine on Blue Sky with a lot of people I've forged relationships with and fun interactions. It's a much better place for me. I just really enjoy being there. I have a good time. So it makes me happy most of the time. So guys, anything like that, post your comments below. Hit up a like if you enjoyed the entire update here. Again, not a very long one, but justifiably so, and a lot of things in that regard. Of course, all the donation things for all the relief funds for the Los Angeles wildfire type of stuff is down in the description below. All that type of stuff, guys. So definitely stick around, check things out on the channel here. We'll have some other good things soon. I'll be working on the editing for the Retro Video Series episode of the Terminator 2 Home Video Retrospective Redux very shortly. So once this is out, I'll be working on that next. So thanks so much for your patience. Hopefully 2025 treats you a little bit better than I may have had already. If you're in the middle of some bad stuff, hopefully things will improve. But always come back here, have some good times with us, and hopefully we entertain you for a little while. Forget about some troubles here and there. So thanks so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.